Hello, my Miniatureholic family, and welcome back. We are here today with my Miniatureholic buddy, Roni. Remember her from last time?
Hi, Roni.
We are going to make fish tanks this week. Little miniature fish tanks, and the girl is good. She's really, really good. So, pay close attention, get your notepad ready, and let's get started. Okay, so we're here with Roni, and she's going to show us what we need and how to put this aquarium together. So it's on you, Roni. Go.
All right, so today we're going to make an aquarium. And I'm going to show you how to make an aquarium with things you can find anywhere. Okay? And some of the things I'm going to show you now are some things that you can use to actually make the fish, to make the plants, different things like that. So, of course, if you're going to make a fish tank, you need a container. So, if you buy miniatures, you find these containers all over the place. So we can use these. You can actually use the smaller one, or you can use the larger one, so you can have a taller one. You can actually, because we don't need to worry about the bottom because you're not going to see it. And then with this little indent we have at the top, it just means we can actually take this and cover it, color it, or whatever to actually make it look like it has a top built in. You can put a hole in there and put a light in there that will also shine down into your aquarium as well. We also find these, of course, a little bit smaller ones. This one just has the black bottom. And then from a class that I took, you can even also make your own size of aquariums. And basically this is 1 millimeter thick acrylic, and you would use a cement glue. And that cement is like, this one is plastruct. It's a plastic weld. And basically what it does is it melts the acrylic as you're putting it together.
What is that called again?
This is plastruct. P-L-A-S-T-R-U-C-T. It's a plastic weld.
Okay.
And they also call it a plastic solvent cement.
Okay.
So you would use something like that to actually be able to create your own. So if you wanted a specific size or something, you could also do that. But what we are going to work with today is we're going to work with some cases that we can already find.
Okay.
Now, the other thing that other things that you can actually use to make the items that go inside your aquarium is, of course, we have aquarium sand, right? So some of the things that we can use for aquarium sand is you can go to Michael's, which the Creatology is at Michael's. And you can buy one of these. So this sand from Michael's and stuff that you can get is a very fine sand. So it will look great in the bottom of an aquarium. And then when you go, and this is light brown color. So if you wanted a kid's room type of aquarium or anything, they have it in the sand in all different kind of colors. So, but this is the Creatology sand. Okay. Something else you can use is, I think this one is also from Michael's. This is from Celebrate It. And this you would find in like the wedding aisle type stuff, or even in some of the plant aisles. And this is just a thicker, like little stones. So that will also work in an aquarium. Now, if you go to Joann's and things like that, they are also have some things that you can use as well. So if you're into any of the gaming things, they've got all game terrain. So this is like a flat slate type stone. So this one is a black stone. And so you could use that in tanks that are a little bit more natural looking. So you have black slate, a little bit chips, and then we also have other mixes of sand and things like that. These also work great for making a base for land. you know, for grass, before you put grass down and things like that. These are also good for pathways and stuff like that. Okay, some other things that we would use is, this is from Michael's. This is just a simple wreath. And what we can do is we can actually give you and cut apart some of these sticks. So once you pull these apart, it actually has a wire on there. And what you would do is just undo the wire. But what we're going to do here is I'm going to cut that wire. It's not that thick. Take the wire off, and then you'll be able to unravel these sticks and be able to use that for your aquariums as well. Okay. Other things we would use are moss. So the preserved moss, the reindeer moss, all of that you can use. I have these two different packages because they have different colors, different textures, and then also like this one, you know, it looks a bit more rough. And then this one, which is actually like a wood chip. So you could actually use that as like a wood branch type of thing in the bottom of your aquarium, just depending on what your style is that you want to make. Something else that you can use is, of course, clay, resin clay, things like that to actually make your fish or to make your plants. To do that, you can either just roll it out and use cutters or scissors or whatever it is, X-Acto knife or whatever, to cut the shapes and things that you want to do that. Okay. You can also use paints, craft paints. If you've got plants, so from the dollar store, so you could literally get plants like this. So if you want a coral reef type of thing, you can actually just cut off bunches of these and put those in there. You could actually add paint to them. The tips of the leaves here, so you have like small plants there, so you can cut those off and also use those. You can also actually paint them a little bit, let those dry, and we can also use those in the aquarium as well. This is another one from the dollar store, literally a $1. This one, same thing. You can use that for a colorful coral reef or something like that as well. And then there's always some sort of greenery or whatever in there, so you can also use things like this. A ball like this, you could actually take off, and I would squish it. You can shape it, and then you could actually attach sand to that too. Okay. So we've got our greenery, we've got our sticks, we've got our branches, we've got those sorts of things. What we also need is fish, coral, starfish, things like that. This here is from UV Resin Craft. This you can find at Michael's. And what you have with this is this actually has shells, starfish, it has angelfish, and then a tiny little fish and things that are there, all in different sizes. So we can actually use this to actually create what we want inside our aquarium using UV resin. They also have other push molds. So like this one is for koi, this one is for goldfish. We will give you the web address of where we found these on Etsy, so you can do those. I even have one for anchors, and we'll show that. Other things that you can use to color. So we actually have, these are the resin alcohol inks. So this is just a little set that I bought because I don't need a ton of this, and this will last me quite a while. So you would just take this and mix this in some of the resin, and just in a little cup, and a little wooden stick or something like that, because it's not a two-part, it's just a single part, and then use the UV for it. Okay, something else, I happen to do my nails myself, and so something else you can use is the UV nail polish. Okay, so this set that I buy, I literally go to the nail supply store and So it has one that is, so it's the nail lacquer and the gel. So like this one would be the one you would put on your toes, regular polish, and then this one is the gel. And it also works with the UV light.
So which one do you use, the polish or the gel?
You would use the gel.
Okay.
So when we do this, we will use the gel polish. And the gel polish we will then use with the UV light. So I'll show you that too.
Okay.
Another thing that, of course, like I said, we can use regular paint. You'll also need regular tacky glue. And one of the main things that we need is some clear plastic little strings. And this little string we actually got from this lovely guitar that you can play
at the dollar store.
At the dollar store. You can actually find these clear strings, actually brooms, paint brushes, brushes, an actual hairbrush is actually really good because then they're actually already a short length and you don't have to worry about those. We need those because we attach these to the fish and anything else that we put in there that we want to just kind of appear to float. And when you pour the resin in, these disappear.
So you need clear.
Clear. Okay. Yes, you want clear. If you use white, you will see it.
Okay.
If you use green or something like that, you could use green, but you could actually camouflage it with plants. Mm-hmm. So you can actually use green if it's like up near a plant or something like that. So you can use anything really that you can find. So like I said, sand, rocks, stones, you can go outside and you can find rocks and stones as well. Mm-hmm. So you can use literally just about anything that you have around you in creating a aquarium. So if you're like me or you did any traveling and you just happen to come back with some crazy stuff from the beach, this is awesome. Why? Because this is a string of shells, actual real shells, but they are all different sizes. So you have the bigger ones and then you've got like these little tiny ones in here. So think about anything you found on your travels like this, you can use that. Okay, so those little ones, we will more than likely cut those out and we will actually put a couple of those in the bottom of the aquarium as well.
Well, all right. So now we're actually going to get started and y'all can watch us put it together because I'm going to try one myself and get your list ready. Okay, so here we go. Okay, y'all, so we ready to get started. And so what Roni's going to do is explain how to make these beautiful aquariums. Now, this I want you to pay attention. So first of all, we're going to zero in on her tray. See this glass tray? It's gorgeous. I want her to tell y'all where she got this from. And because I'm working on a napkin over here, okay? But it's beautiful, and I want to give me one. But she's not
working on just any napkin, okay?
Tell her where you got it from.
Okay. All right, everybody. So we're going to begin. So there are a few more tools and things that I have with me to begin to work on this aquarium. The first thing she wants me to tell you about is this board that I'm working on. So it's black. You see the white lines to it, but it's glass. And I got that from Michael's. And so it's a Tim Holtz glass media mat. So it's the glass media mat. And so it's glass, has all the lines on it, but it also has another little work area for like if you're working with paint that you can actually mix your paint right on the glass. Okay, and then of course you'll be able to wipe it off. So this surface is good to paint on, to use resins on, to use clay, whatever it is that you want to do, because it is glass, it's easy to clean up. And you can get this at Michael's, and of course, use a coupon. Okay, so what we're going to start with is we need to prepare the base of our aquarium. Okay, so I am going to show you what I have done. So I have these little trays that are awesome. And with these little trays, you go to the dollar store, and we know it's $1.25 now, but you know, 25 cents, we're gonna survive at the moment. But these little trays and things are awesome, okay? And they're awesome because you can take all your little found objects or whatever it is that you want to use, put them in your trays, and then you can just set those off to the side. So we have everything from the shells that I showed you that were on the necklace. We have some wood pieces that actually come inside the moss bag. Then we have the different types of moss that we had in those bags. We have some of the, she wants to use some of the little black, so we're going to use some of the little black stones that we have. We also have, this is some of those grapevines that were on the reef, and what we did was just cut those out. So just get yourself some scissors that, you know, you use to just cut everything. And then this is a piece of one of the plants that I showed you we got at the dollar store, as well as some of those different leaves and flower pieces that we're going to use as well. You also want to have yourself some glue. So we've just got some regular Elmer's, and a tip for tacky glue. So we know we get those bottles of glue, that's tacky glue, that cost about $9 and all that good stuff. Well, we're gonna actually, you can make your own tacky glue. Get yourself a glass jar and pour some of that good old Elmer's glue in there. Just some of this right here, this nice Elmer's glue. You can find these big old 1-gallon bottles over at Lowe's, Menards, different places like that. Really inexpensive, cost you about 12, 13, you know, anywhere from 12 to 15 bucks for a gallon, okay? And it'll last you a while. So you take that glass jar, you pour Elmer's glue into that jar. Let it sit without a top on it until the next day. Some of that water and different things in there will evaporate. You will take a wooden stick, stir it up. If it's not as tacky as you want it, let it sit until the next day. So you're going to have it sitting for 2 days. On the second day, you should be able to stir it up. It feels much more tacky. Then you put the lid on it. You will then be able to use that tacky. Once it gets too thick feeling, like it's hard, really hard to stir with the stick, you will take some more of that Elmer's glue, pour it in there, stir it up real good, let it sit 1 more day, and your tacky glue will be ready to go.
Excellent. Money saver tip, everybody. Listen to that. I didn't know that.
So, well, you know it now.
I do.
So we're going to save ourselves some money, because my money has to do a lot. So we're going to save ourselves some money. Some other tools that you want to have is you want to have a good set of tweezers. So, but you are going to be working with resin, so you want to make sure you have yourself like a little towel or something to wipe your tools on, so that way you don't accidentally, you know, get the resin on your tools and hit them with the UV light. So get yourself some tweezers. These are actually a couple of bent tip tweezers. And so that'll help you when you're putting things in, whether you're facing them this way to put it down and you actually won't touch the resin at all if you're like holding them down this way. Okay, so we've got some tweezers. Other things that can help is once you are working with the resin, because we're going to use the UV resin to set everything in, you really want to use a 2-part clear to finish it off. I haven't done this with filling the whole thing up with UV resin. You would have to, of course, do it in layers to do that. So we might do that today just to see how it works. But when you're doing that, you might even want to use a little pipette. So this pipette, they have a couple of different sizes. You can also use these, pull up some of the resin in the pipette to be able to fill in some of the tiny spots that will be inside your aquarium.
And where would you get those at?
I have also found these at Michael's and Joann's. Okay. And then, because they'll usually actually have some of these in the resin area as well. Okay, so let us get ready to start, and then as we start the base, then we'll start to move into what we're going to decorate some of our what we're going to decorate our aquariums with. Okay,
and again, I'm over here sitting on the side doing my little thing, but I want you to focus on Roni.
Okay, so we're just going to take one of these little containers that we found, you know, that we buy miniatures in. And remember, an aquarium can be any size you want. We've got 10-gallon, 20s, 30s, 40, 50, 100-something gallon aquariums. So you can have whatever size you want. So please don't have yourself a whole fit about that, okay? Plus, this is your very first one. You can change your sizes later. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is, this is, like I said, the UV Resin Craft UV resin. I got this because it was easily available to me right over at Michael's. Of course, that makes it a tiny bit more expensive. But of course you can, but this is a 6.7 fluid ounce. And of course, if you're gonna get it, use a coupon. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to just put some resin in the bottom of the container. Okay. So we're gonna show you, we're just putting a, not a thick layer, but just a nice little thin layer of UV resin right into the bottom, okay? Now, once we put that UV resin right in the bottom, we want to take a little sand, so I need you to put some UV resin in the bottom of your container. Okay? And then once you do that, yep, you can put a little more in there. Okay, and then you're just going to move that around, because we don't want a super thick layer in there, we want a thin layer. And then what we're going to do is, this is some of the light brown colored sand, like I said, that we can get at Michael's or whatever. And what we're going to do is we're going to dump that in there, shake that around a little bit. The resin will, you'll see the resin change the sand colors, and we'll quickly dump some of that out a little bit. And then you have a layer of sand that will be at the bottom. So it's a thin layer, it's not a really thick layer, okay? And then once you get that around, then you can pour some sand into your
I can't get this.
Into your
There's
piece.
one piece missing.
It's okay. Well, that's okay. You just add a little bit more resin in there. It's okay. A little bit more resin. So we've got that in there. And if you have some and it's up on the side a little bit or anything like that, don't worry about that, because our fish tanks look like that in real life. So we're not going to worry about that. So we've got that sand in there. Now, what we're going to do is, once we put that first layer in, so this is my UV resin light. Since I do my nails and things, I definitely have one of these, but they have kits that you can also buy that would have the UV light. It will have, they use them for jewelry, so it would have some molds and some other things that's in the kit, and you'd be able to get the UV cure along with the light. So we're going to take this and we're going to put that in the light, so it's under there. And then what we're going to do is it's going to be 120 seconds. So my dryer has a 30, a 60, and a 120 seconds on there. So we're just going to drop that down, make sure you have no UV in the area, and I will turn that on for...
Now, while that's doing that, I want to tell y'all something. I came over here, I was supposed to come over here over Roni's house around what? 12 o'clock, right? I got here about 12:04. I had to stop because I left my glasses at home. Well, we needed some clear, was that string or wire
Yes.
to put on the fish. So we decided to go to Dollar Tree. Why did we? We don't even need to shop together, okay? We do not. We went in there and started getting some.
It was her fault.
No, it's her.
It was totally
We got
her fault.
everything. You know, we got what we needed, but they had some gorgeous, what they call that, peel and stick.
Peel and stick wallpaper.
Oh my God. Why did Roni get like 50 sheets? I'm not, she's getting ready to redo her bathroom. I only got a few. Because see, the way my bank account is set up, see, the way that is set up is like, no.
See, but what it started, look, what had happened was, I actually saw some of the peel and stick wallpaper that would be awesome for marble floors, okay? Marble floors. I'm serious, guys. It is so gorgeous. And it's peel and stick, which means you can use it to cut.
So that's one.
Which means you can use it to cut. So we're going to show you some of that. So we found this wallpaper. Look at this. Isn't
Beautiful.
this perfect marble?
For flooring too, or walls.
So it's $1.25, guys. So budget, but you've got marble. Okay? So, you know, like I said, my money's got to do a lot. Just like I'm sure some of the rest of you guys too. So, you know, you find all kinds of things everywhere. So, dollar store, $1.25, marble flooring, okay? Now, The problem was when I saw the marble flooring, we saw this other pattern that is just gorgeous. Okay, so look at this.
Beautiful. Look at this.
Isn't that gorgeous?
She's gonna redo her bathroom.
Isn't that gorgeous? Yeah, I got a bathroom in the basement, and I don't know why, but guess what? I'm getting a little more frilly as I get older, so it's gonna get this in that bathroom. Okay. I didn't do that. I'm not doing the upstairs bathrooms because they still need to get remodeled. Okay. So we're done. Our 120 is done. So we're going to take that out. We're going to pop hers in. And while hers is drying and marinating here, I am going to, okay, so now we've got our layer of UV resin in here. We've got our sand at the bottom. So now what we want to do is we actually want to begin decorating. I am going to get some of my Elmer's glue, my tweezers, and I'm just going to start decorating what I think that I want in there.
Quick question, because some people are going to want to know, where did you get your UV light?
This UV light I actually bought. It's a Sun UV, and I actually bought this particular one off of Amazon. But if you have like a nail store, just look it up. I know you're like, what? What is she talking about? What do you mean? A nail supply store, okay? A nail supply store. I do my nails. It's awesome. Because the nail supply store, you can get like a package of, 25, 50 emery boards that you would use for sanding and different things like that to do miniatures. And it will cost you like $8. Even the blocks that you would use, the sanding blocks, same thing. You can get a pack of those, a pack of 10, 12, whatever it is, and it might cost you about $8. So that's where I go, is the nail store. And you can find all sorts of things there, okay? So now what I want to do is now I want to begin thinking about the decorations that I have and the sticks that I want to use. So like I have this stick here, really cool. Since I have a taller container, I'm going to actually take my scissors, remember just whatever scissors, and I want to cut off the bottom piece because I like this piece right here. Okay, so I like that piece. So we're just going to start auditioning what we want. So I can place that in there. That's a bit natural in there. So to begin, we're going to use your glue. Use your Elmer's glue. So we want some of the black pieces that she likes in there. You're just going to dip that in some white glue. Just a little bit, not too much. We just don't want it to move. You can also take these pieces like these, the different stones or the rocks, and you can actually layer them, stack them on top of each other, things like that. Now, if you don't want to use the Elmer's glue for this, that's okay too. Because guess what? I got another thing here. And I'm going to show you this real quick. This glue in this little tube is called Zap It. This glue is you will apply it. It comes with this little bitty light, little bitty UV light, and that's how you cure it. So let's see if I can show you guys this. And we'll do that on this side. So you're going to take one of your stones. Okay. And we are going to open our little tube. Put a little bit of Zap It on the piece. We are going to add another stone to it. Take our little light. And it slides up. And we're going to point it at the glue so that it can cure it. Okay, so you can do that also with the UV light if you have that. So if you have those bigger rocks, one of the things about the UV light is it does have to be able to see where you put the glue at, because it's not going to cure under a dark item. Okay, so we can take that and we're going to pick that up now. It's all together. And we are going to put just a little bit of the glue on there. So just a teensy bit of the Elmer's glue. And we're going to glue that in place inside of our tank. Don't worry, that glue does dry clear, okay? So now we're going to continue and do the same thing with our other pieces. Because what we want is for this to dry while we are working on our fish. Okay, so now you're just going to continue decorating for a few minutes with your other items that you may want to use. But start with your, like I said, start with your biggest items, your pieces of wood, your stones, your things like that you want to put in there, okay? How you doing over there? Awesome! Oh, yeah, yes, okay. Yes. That's looking, she's doing great, guys. She's doing great. Yes, she is. She's doing great.
I'm going to show y'all. Don't worry.
She's doing great. She's doing great over there.
Okay, yeah, we'll see.
She's doing awesome. But we're going to continue. So I'm just taking it. So don't worry here. Look, I'm going to be just a little quiet so I can get some of these pieces glued in.
So what happens if we get glue on the side of the...
Don't worry about the glue on the side of the tank. If you get glue on the side, you will want to use, you can use a Q-tip, something like that, or whatever. You can try to wipe it off. If not, especially if it's a lot and it's a big piece of it, you can actually try to wipe that off. Did you get a bunch of glue on the side or something?
No, okay. It's a little bit.
But otherwise you can let the glue dry. And once the glue dries, you can generally peel it off. Okay?
Cool.
Another thing is if you get a lot of glue in an area, guess what you can do? You can add moss to it. Stick some moss in there. So if you got a bunch of glue somewhere, stick some moss in it, okay? It's okay.
I'm getting ready to do that too.
Yep. And then just stand back, look at it, and
cry.
See what you... There is no need to cry. No need to cry. She's really doing awesome, guys. She's really, really doing awesome. Although she's trying to act like she's nice. And see, that piece is too big, so I don't want to use that one. I want this one. And remember when you're pulling all the moss apart and all of those things and you get all those little tiny pieces, make sure you keep those little tiny pieces, put those in one of those little trays. So when you're filling in your aquarium, you've already got pieces that are broken off and you don't have to worry about any of that. Remember, when you look at rivers and lakes and all these other things, there's always moss on the rocks. So you want to do some of that. Make sure you got some little moss that you have in there on the rocks kind of deal. Awesome. Yes.
She's so encouraging.
I mean, we're gonna need to let yours dry a little bit longer, but that's okay. She definitely got her glue in there. She's definitely got her glue in there. And that's okay. Looking awesome, guys. It's looking awesome. You're
okay. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna show you. Okay, look.
She's too much. She's doing awesome, guys. She's doing
this
awesome.
Is mine. You can see it's a lot of glue, a lot of shit. The glue's gonna have to dry, and then you won't see all the white, but the shells and the sticks, and yeah, I think I'm overdoing it. So I'm gonna stop right there and let mine dry.
And then it is okay to stop and let it dry for a while too. Because sometimes when you're putting pieces in there, you may start to pull up other pieces. So it's okay to stop and let it dry as well, okay? But so far, here is how we're doing. Because once you add your final epoxy in here, it will change the moss just a little bit. So now I'm going to go into my my container with all my tiny bits, and I'm going to take some of those tiny bits and put those into the very bottom of the tank. because when you look at the bottom of the tank, or like in this case, because we're doing more of a naturalistic landscape type of aquarium, you'll usually find lots of different pieces where the wood is broken off or has fallen over or has done things like that. And so you want to get some of those little pieces down there in the bottom too. Let's see, let's check yours out over here. Oh no, you're doing awesome. Oh yes, that's going to be so awesome. That's going to be so awesome. And I love you cut that. Yes, those are awesome. And then, like I said, remember any of the plants or anything else like that that you use, you can paint those, okay? You can add paint and just wait till those are dry before you do the final bit of epoxy in there, okay? Other things that also look awesome is if you have some dead leaves, you can actually put, crumble up brown dead leaves, things like that. You can put those types of things in here too, if you're going for this type of aquarium. So we will probably do another video of more of a coral reef style aquarium.
That's a good idea.
At a later date. But we will, right now we're doing this more landscaped style because this is my favorite style. So, and then she didn't really give me a long time to do this, guys.
I really did. It was just like a day's notice. I'm like, okay, we need a play date. Let's do this. He's like, okay. I love her.
I tell you, your friends, man, your friends. Your friends, they'll set you up,
like,
right?
Yeah, girl, everybody's going to love this.
But she's a wonderful friend, so I don't mind, and I love having play dates. So.
Oh, and we're going to do one on jewelry, too. She's good at that one, too, so. It's always good to have friends in miniatures. I can't wait till we get together with Selena, all three of us together. We haven't done that in a long time.
Yes. Other things you can use as well is grape stems. Stems from, eating the grapes and all of that. Those are great natural stems to be able to use for stuff like this or projects like this. So remember, when you're doing all that, take a good hard look at it. Us miniaturists, we keep lots of things.
Mm-hmm.
We keep lots of things, but they can all be very useful. So those are definitely great. But if you get one of the little reefs that I showed you, that will really, really last you a while as well. And then those are great. Those wreaths are also great if you're making trees. You can use those for trees. So when you make your wire form, you can use your wire form and making your tree trunk, but you can also take some of these branches and you can actually use those for trees, tree branches and things as well. Okay, so I think she is done with what she is going to put into hers for now. Mm-hmm. And I am done with what I'm going to put in there for now. So we are getting ready to set these aside and let these dry for a little bit here.
Yep, I'm good with mine.
Okay. So you're happy with yours?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we are about to sit these aside and let these dry for a little bit, okay? So there we go. So different mosses, different colors, different varieties. Use of those sticks. Don't worry about the sticks. We will cut those off later. But right now we're just going to leave that alone and let that dry. All right, everybody. So we've kind of cleaned our area up here a little bit. So we can get into making the fish and things that we want to use, okay? Now, another thing about using my little glass board is this little paintbrush right here. Paintbrush is awesome, right? Because glass board, we can come in here with our little thing, move everything right on out the way. Get all cleaned up.
And she got it from Dollar Tree.
Yes.
We about saving y'all.
Look, our money has to do a lot, right? Mm-hmm. So, All right. And then the other thing is, of course, when, you know, we get stuff on ourselves, we can just, you know, brush ourselves on off with the little paintbrush too. Mm-hmm. So always keep a little paintbrush in your container, you know, in your little toolbox. Okay. So now we're actually going to move into making the fish. And so, like I said, we have this one, which has the starfish, some shells, some coral, and things like that we have in here. So we're going to work with some of those. And then I also have some for koi fish and goldfish. Also, if you want to have a little decoration, like this one is anchors. So 3 different sizes of anchors. Like I said, remember, our aquariums can be whatever size we want them to be, okay? So we can do those. And this particular one has starfish. So what we're going to do is we are going to, oh, and this one even has a crab on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our UV resin. Remember, this one is the UV Resin Craft, or like I said, this one is the one that you can get from Michael's. But there are, of course, others. You know, if you're Amazon shopper, whatever, there's resin everywhere. But remember, get a UV hard resin, okay? So this one is the hard type resin. There is another one that's a soft type resin, and I'm not sure what that one is really used for, because I don't do anything where I would have that kind of soft doughy, I guess, sort of thing going on with it. So remember to get the hard cure type. So, and what you're going to do is you're just going to fill your molds up and, whoop, okay, knock the fish over. So for this, I usually will have like a little pointy stylus or something like that, because you will get some bubbles in there. So this one actually has like a little scoop type of little thing on there, and it has a little point. So I use the point to try to pop the bubbles. If they don't pop, then I use the scoop end and scoop them right on out of there. So you're going to put a little resin in there, move it around with the point of your tool so that it gets into each of the little crevices. And that's also depending on how detailed your little mold is as well. Because some of these molds, like this one I'm doing right now, has some tiny little fins and things like that are in there. So I use this point to make sure that we're pulling those around. And I got a little bit too much in that one, and that's okay, because I can actually take my scoop, flip it over, and move a little bit of that resin and put it into the next hole. Now, when you're using the resin, it will shrink a little bit as you are curing it. So don't worry too much if it, overflows just a little bit. Now, if it really looks like it overflowed, then yeah, you might want to scoop a little bit out, okay? The other thing is you can actually, when you're working on a project, you can actually use even one of those glue bottles that has that very, very detailed tip onto it. And if you use that, I would only put just so much in the bottle that you think you're going to work with. You can always add more. But if you leave the UV resin in a more of a clear bottle, it's going to harden, okay? So what we do is just, you can put some in there for how much you think you are going to use, and you can always add more later. And that's if you want to use a bottle that has a more tiny pointed tip, if you're using a more detailed mold, okay? So we've got that one filled, and then we're going to fill this one.
So you don't need to hit the mold against the table to make it settle or anything?
You do not. That's what the little pointy tool is for. If you have one of these little pointy tools, then you will get the resin down in there.
Okay.
Yeah. And then these aren't so deep that you really have to worry about that too much either. All right. So we filled up a couple of spots in here, and we've got our other ones done. So now what we're going to do, and also the paper towel that she was talking about is not just a paper towel. It's another item that I get at the nail store. And this item, it's actually kind of like a paper towel, but it actually has a little bit of a plastic layer to the back of it. And so it will keep you from getting anything on your table, even if you're putting it on like that paper towel and everything. Okay?
What is it called?
All right, so the items she was talking about, my paper towels, are literally, so they are called protective nail towels with a plastic backing. Really simple, but you find it at the nail store. So they are 12 inches by 18 inches, 50 sheets of those. And like I said, you can use those for different projects, especially if you're working on your kitchen table, counters, wherever, or even if you're working on your craft table that you normally work on. You can use it for all sorts of things. But it's absorbent and it's got the plastic lining, so you don't have to worry about that. So we are going to set this up so that it can go under the UV lights. We're gonna slide this right on over so you can see them. And so with this, it is clear. And so we have shells and fishies, all sorts of little things here, okay? And so when they come out, I also have a couple that have been colored with the gel nail polish, as well as some that are clear, okay? So this one is done with kind of a bronze nail polish, as well as this. These here are clear, and so these are different types of shells. And then these here are done with sort of they have an iridescent look to them. So they're pink iridescent. So we're going to turn the light on for that, and we're going to let that work for 120 seconds. So while that is finished curing, I actually have some that we have already completed. The other ones are done curing. And of the ones I have not used, like I said, the anchor, I want to see how that came out. And so literally you just flex it a little bit and the piece pops right on out. Okay. And here we have a gorgeous, well-formed little anchor. So we've got the anchor. Let's see what else we've got here. So our other little fish came out awesome. So we've got the anchor. Let's see where we are. So we've got our little fishies here. Now, this part gets a little fiddly, okay? So we've got our fishies. So we've got some goldfishies, and we've got a little bit bigger koi goldfish type of deal, okay? And different sizes of the goldfish, okay? Now, if you wanted to, you could actually take two of these and you can actually UV them together. So once you would do that, you would just take them, put the teensiest bit of UV gel in between them, and then you would zap it with the UV light.
And that would make a whole fish instead
And
of
that
a
would,
half.
yes, it would make a whole fish instead of a half. Okay, so you could do that as well. You can even, if you're using these, you can even take your little tweezers, hold it up, take your fish tank. Like this angelfish is a little bit bigger. So you can actually take your tank, hold it in, and actually just use your tweezers and see if you like the size of it, you know, in your tank, okay? So like I said, that's gonna be a little hard. These are clear, so it's a little hard to see that on camera. Because once you paint them, then of course you'll definitely be able to see what they will look like in your piece, okay? So now, once we've done this, how do we get our fish from being flat in our piece to in our tank? And to actually look like they might be swimming. Okay, so what we do is we're gonna take these fish and you're going to flip them over to where the flat side is up. Now, you remember that hunt we told you we went on, and we went over to the dollar store and everywhere else to try to find those little clear wires? This is where that comes in. So, we've got clear wires from the paintbrush, and we've got some that are even a little thicker that are from the guitar wire. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take that, and we're going to take our little UV, zap it with our little light, and we are now going to attach this little clear wire to the bottom of our fish. Okay, so we can take a tiny bit of the Zap It, and I would put it onto your clear piece of wire. Okay, so you're going to squeeze that just a little bit till we get that on there. You don't need a super duper lot, but we do want to make sure we get it on there. Because you do have to use the UV light, you can use a little bit of this, put it on a piece of aluminum foil, use one of your little trays, or something like that. You could even put it on your board if you wanted to, because you can clean that up with alcohol as well, as long as, of course, it's not cured. If it is cured, then you can use your scraper. Another wonderful tool that I love is a paint scraper. I love a paint scraper. Paint scrapers do so much. Okay, so we're going to take that, we're going to dip that in the UV, get a little puddle on the bottom, and then we're going to attach that to our fish. Let's see if we got enough on there. I want to make sure we got enough there. If not, and you don't feel like you've got enough, grab a toothpick. But we want a little ball of this, just a little bit. Right, is my toothpick going to help me more? No, it's just going to be a butt. There we go. Okay, so the toothpick helped a little bit more, so we're going to put that on there. We are going to take our piece and we are going to touch it into the pool of the UV and turn the light on. I think as long as I keep it still. You can also use the glue, the regular Elmer's glue. It'll take a little bit longer. And remember, this cures 60 to 120 seconds. So we have to hold it for 2 minutes.
So is it better to paint before you cure it, or just wait till you cure it and then paint it?
No, wait till you cure it and then paint it, because putting this stick on there is going to help you paint it. Because otherwise it's so tiny, it's so small, that you'll have a hard time painting it. Okay. So this actually helps a lot to get that fish attached, and once it's attached, then you can use that to help you. Because then that way you have something to hold on to without painting all your fingers. And so see, I have it up off the board. You can actually see the fish a little bit more because I have the light pointed on it. So, okay, so now our fish is there. And so now we can hold our fish up, and so now you can see your fish. Your fish is attached to your clear wire there, your plastic wire, and now we can actually paint it. Okay, so that's what we're going to do with each of our fish. So once you've done that, then you are going to cut your the little plastic stem. You're going to cut that, because see, I left it long because I'm going to attach another fish to it. And we're going to, where's my scissors? Okay, and so then we're just going to cut that off. Now, when we are done painting this fish, so you see, you can also hold it with your tweezers as well. So once you're done painting the fish, then what you will do is you will take your aquarium, okay, and you will figure out and decide where you want the fish in the level of your aquarium. So if you want this fish toward the bottom, then you're going to cut the stem off of your fish a little shorter. So that way you will then take some white glue and a little bit of super glue, and then you will hold that down into your fish tank where you want that fish to be. Okay? So we've got that. So we will do that. Now, I am going to show you a couple of fish that I have made before. So this little fishy here was made with resin clay. And so this resin clay, we took and shaped it with the body, used tweezers and things to make the actual fins of the fish. So to place this fish into this setting, I will take and cut the bottom of the stem. And then try to decide where I actually want the fish in the piece. Now, so I have cut this one a little shorter, and I might want this fish where it's in the front or in the back or somewhere inside this tank where it actually will be visible. You can make it seem like it is swimming inside the plants that you have placed in your tank. Okay, so I am now going to take a little bit of the Elmer's glue, and we're just going to put a couple of drops of that in our little dish. And then this particular one is Gorilla Glue. But whatever super glue or anything like that, you can actually use. Okay, so this one is a white Gorilla Glue pen. And did I open this one yet? Probably not. Let's see. I think it might be. Now, when you do this, do not put the super glue directly into the white glue. If you do, it will immediately go off, and then you're done. It will not work. Okay. And remember, we're doing this because we want the super glue to quickly grab where we put it at in our tank, and then until the white glue actually dries. So we're going to pick up the fish. Okay, so pick up the fish. You can't see the little stem on this one. This one has a very thin stem on there. And you are going to dip it into the white glue first. Okay. So once you dip it into the white glue first, so you can see the little white ball of glue there. And then we are going to dip it into the super glue quickly and then put it into our peas. So you can see him in between. So he is right there, swimming in between. So you can see him right there, swimming in between the little branches. Okay. So we have that one in there. And so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to paint some fishies. Okay. To paint the fishies, you can use, like I said, you can use just regular acrylic paint, and you want it to dry. We also have some metallic paint, especially if you're doing, the goldfish and things like that. You can use a little metallic on them. We actually have a pearlescent sparkle paint. So there are some that look like pearls, and this one is the Folk Art Sparkle Varnish. So once you're done painting the fish, you can put a little sparkle varnish on it, and that'll give it a little sheen when it's put into the tank. All right, ready to paint? We're going to paint this little fishy with a little bit of white paint, and it will help you see it just a little bit better. So we're going to just take a little brush, and we are going to paint our little fish. The other thing is we do have the UV gel. There is another product also that you could use to make your fish that actually comes out white. And it's just a resin casting, and actually you can actually do it in 10 minutes using that. So we're gonna paint, and we're gonna blow on our little fish so we can dry him quickly. I'm gonna put that one down, but now you can see he's nice and white. We're going to put him down, let him dry. So we've got this little guy we've got here, and we are going to paint this little guy. Now I'm not going to paint the back fin because I want the back fin to be a little bit more of the translucent kind of look. So we're going to paint him yellow. Okay, so we've got him painted yellow. So we're going to use a little bit of the sparkle varnish that I was talking about. And we want that on the fins of the fish. It's hard to see the little painting on it, but then you're just going to put that on the back fin of the fish to give it a little sparkle. And truly, once this is placed in the tank, it's just gonna blow your mind how well it looks. Okay. To do an eye on the fish, use one of your ball stylus. Okay.
Or even a toothpick.
Toothpick, yep. Toothpick, ball stylus, or something like that if you have one. And you will just dip that into your black paint, and we're going to give him an eye. Okay, just right on your little... We'll take pictures. But you're going to give him a little eye on the fish. And once we put that little black eye in there, we're going to take the tiniest bit of the gold and put just a tiny bit of gold in the eye, okay? Just the tiniest bit of gold in there. Now, what else you can do with this little guy is you can add red or orange or something like that, because this is more or less like a little goldfish. So once you've done that, all you're going to do now is just let him dry. And once he's all dry, you're going to take him and you're going to put him in your tank.
Okay, so we'll be back once we're done with all the fish and have them in a tank and show you how to put the liquid in. Okay, y'all, we back. It's a whole new day, and we let the aquariums dry, and I'm going to let Roni take over so we can show you the end results. And also, don't forget to look in the description box below because we're going to give you more information. Also, her dog is a bit upset, so if you're hearing barking, please just drown that out. It's on you, Roni.
I apologize for my dog today. He is not happy, and it's okay. So we've got our aquariums. So our aquariums are done. We've let them dry overnight because we want to make sure the glue and everything is dry. Okay. So that way, once we put the epoxy in, it will not react with the glue that is wet, because you can end up with like some foamy look or something like that if that's the case. So we are going to be using a 2-part epoxy today. And the 2-part epoxy, so we've got everything else in there. The 2-part epoxy is a resin, and it's part A and part B. The part A epoxy resin, and this one is the Shabebe. I got this one off of Amazon. Epoxy resin. It's an excellent clear cast resin, okay? And then the part B is the actual hardener. So this is a 1-to-1 ratio. So that means the same amount for part A and the same amount for part B. Now, as you have your aquarium, we don't know exactly how much the volume is for this. So before you do this, you can actually take water, pour it into your container, and that will let you know how much epoxy you actually need to mix. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bring this empty one here, this empty container, and we're going to pour some water in there.
Where can they purchase those?
The epoxy resin that I have, I actually bought this one off of Amazon. So there are some other resins that you can use, but you want to make sure that you find one that is and I'm going to show you this on the side for this one. So this one is a no bubble, self-leveling, non-flammable, and resists yellowing. Okay, which is what you want, because you don't want your fish tank to, once you do this, you do all your work, and then immediately, because it's exposed to other sunlight or anything like that, that you don't want this to immediately yellow. So you definitely want to look for one that resists yellowing. This is also no VOCs and low odor. So those are the sorts of things you want to look for when we are looking for a clear epoxy, okay? All right, so now that we have this container, we have filled that up with water, and so that's what you can do with your original aquarium before you get started. So this lets you know how much volume that you're actually going to need of your part A and your part B. So once we do that, you can actually pour it into a container. So this is a resin mixing cup, so it does have numbers and things here on the sides, so those are in black, and then on this side we have them in red. So the red is in milliliters and the black side is in ounces. So for the volume that we need for this, we are at 60 milliliters, or on the ounces side we need 2 ounces. So we would basically need 1 ounce of hardener and 1 ounce, so 1 ounce of part A and 1 ounce of part B, which is the resin and the hardener, okay? So since we are going to be doing 2 aquariums, we're going to be doing mine, and we're also going to be finishing up Latanya's, so we will need approximately about 4 ounces of epoxy. So once we've done that, so now you can take your water and pour it back out. And this will be our mixing cup, okay? And the other things when you are doing this, you want to make sure, so since I use the water, I am going to wipe my cup back, my mixing cup back out. Okay, so we're gonna wipe that out. And so the items that you really need when you are pouring your epoxy is, of course, your aquarium. You need your mixing container. You're going to need some sort of stick, just a craft stick will do. And then the kit that I have bought also has, like I said, some of the pipettes available, okay? So we're going to use that. And the reason we have the pipettes to use is because when you look at your tank, you're going to have some tiny little spaces and things that are at the bottom. And so this will just help us keep everything clean, get that down in the bottom so that we can get those little spaces that are hiding in the bottom from our different decorations and pieces that we've placed in there, okay? Also, of course, if you get it, once you get the epoxy kit, it is going to have instructions of what to do. So this one has a 40-minute working time, which means from the time that you mix it up, you have 40 minutes before it begins to harden, okay? Now, we want to, once you do that, you also want this to be able to cure overnight, okay? It will start to set up, within 40 minutes. And then from there, you can just leave it someplace, actually just cover it up. We don't want any dust to settle on the top of it. And we will go from there, okay?
So can we put something over it while it's setting so that nothing will get in it?
Right. So you can do anything from, like we have this and we have our tops that we had for this. So you can actually just take the top or whatever it was that went with your aquarium and actually set it on top. So you can use the flat side to set it on top, okay?
Was this my top?
It's possible. That's definitely possible. But so like this was the top. This was actually the top for this one, and so you can just take that top and just flip it over and sit it on top of there, because we just don't want anything to fall in there. Let's see. Will that one work for you? That one works for you. There you go. Okay, so that's what you're going to do once you put something in. Okay. All right. So now we know we of course need 4 ounces. Do you want me to mix it for you, or do you want to do your own? You good. You good. The other thing you want to make sure you have is gloves. This can be irritating for some people's hands, even though, like I said, it's low VOC, low odor, all of that. So don't do this in a very small space. We are actually working on my dining room table. So we've got so we're going to start with part A, which is the actual resin. And then they have these little cups that you can also get that also have the measurements on the side, everything from teaspoons to tablespoons, ounces, drams, cc's, all of those measurements are on this cup, okay? So like I said, we need 4 ounces. So we will open this up. And then this one actually has a little stopper in there to take out. So we got a little stopper. So we're going to take that out. And remember, with this glass board, if you get it on there or anything, it will wipe right up. And then if you have anything else that's stuck to it, you will actually be able to scrape that off. Okay.
You show them your scraper.
Okay, so Latanya looked at my board when she arrived after I was working with some of the UV resin yesterday. So all you need is a simple scraper. So this is just a simple retractable flat blade scraper. So anything you get on your board, you don't want to ruin your fingernails or anything. You can actually just take this, scrape it right across the board, and anything that's stuck on there will come off. Okay, so resin, clay, paint, anything. So
where do you get it from?
This you can get at any hardware store.
Okay.
So Lowe's, Menards, Home Depot.
So it's called a flat razor scraper.
This is just a razor scraper.
Okay.
And this particular model, so you would just change the blades. It usually comes with like a pack of 5 blades with it. So it retractable, goes back in, and then this particular one has the, it's like a soft-sided one. Okay. So the flat bladed ones, you don't want the ones that are angles, the one that's where the blade is angled. You don't want that. This is just easier, and it's just a flat scraper, okay? And we are now going to put 2 ounces. So that's going to be 2 of these cups up to the measurement. Okay. So we've got our first. Okay, so we've got 1, and we're going to pour that into our cup. And then you're just going to use your little wooden craft stick to scrape the sides to get it all in there. The other thing about using a 1:1 ratio epoxy is if you use some of the other kind that you have, the catalyst or the hardener, a lot of those work by weight, which means you would actually have to weigh the resin on how much you put in there, and then the catalyst or hardener that you would use makes it just a little bit more difficult to actually use. So this, one part, you're good to go. Okay. All right, so we would get our other separate cup, and we will do the same thing with the hardener. We also need the 2 ounces. Another thing you might want to do is if you are making aquariums, fish bowls, any other things like that, you can also, with this resin, if you have leftovers or anything like that, you can add color to it, and use this for lemonade and all that other stuff. So you might also want to have a few projects ready to go that you might use any epoxy for. Okay, and then that way you can pour epoxy for whatever your different projects are all at the same time. And you can just use, once it's mixed, just use some additional little cups and have your colors, your alcohol colors and things like that ready to go. So as you're stirring this, you don't want to stir this fast because you don't want to introduce a lot of bubbles or anything in there. And if you can see it, the two parts as they mix, it will look, you'll see the two separate parts actually mixing. So you'll see the lines in there, and you want to keep stirring until you do not see any more of the lines in there. So you want to continue stirring this for, a good 2 or 3 minutes or so until you don't see that anymore, okay? Now, while she's continuing stirring, so I'm gonna bring my fish tank over so you can see, okay? Now, I know some of you might be worried about if you've got a little glue in there or in your on the sides of your tank or anything like that. We're not going to worry about that too much. First off, it's your first one, okay? So we're learning the techniques, the practices, and everything else. So once you do your next one, you should be great. The other thing is once you get some of the glue in there, you can actually use a toothpick. You can use your tweezers, things like that. And all you're going to do is more or less just scrape over the glue that may be inside. Is scrape over the glue, and the point of your tweezers, you should actually be able to peel off. Like the Elmer's glue, like when we were kids and we put the Elmer's glue on your hands, waited till it dried and then peeled it off. Yeah, it'll basically do the same thing to this. So you're just going to do that, and so we're not going to worry about that too much. The other thing is once you pour the epoxy in, it's actually some of that is going to disappear anyway, okay? So we're not going to worry about that too much. If you used your tweezers and you got a little scratch in there, same thing, a lot of that is actually going to disappear, okay? Because on this tank, when I did that, same thing, I had scratched it, and things like that, and literally I have no clue where the scratches and things were because the resin is basically almost the same type of thing as this little acrylic plastic we're using, okay? So don't worry about that too much. All right, so LaTanya finished our mixing, so basically it looks clear. You don't really see any lines in it anymore. We got rid of any bubbles. We stirred it slowly so that we are not introducing a lot of bubbles. There will be a few, but that will work itself out as we are pouring this into our piece, okay? So how we're going to start that is we are going to take our pipette. You can use your pipette, like I said, to start adding epoxy into your tank, into some of those corners, okay? And then you can just tilt it so that we can start getting it in those little hidden nooks and crannies we've got at the bottom, okay? The other thing about your pipette is that as we're pouring, we don't want to just dump this in on top of our tank and on top of our fish. So you can take your pipette, you can take your little cup, and then take your container of epoxy, and you're going to pour it along your pipette. Okay, so when you're doing that, that also helps you put it in the spot that you want to put it in, okay? And it means you're not just dumping the whole thing in, which will introduce air bubbles and all that. We want to keep them to a minimum unless you're doing something that you want to have a bunch of bubbles in. Okay, so we're going to, and once we do that, we are going to pour some of that in there, and then we're going to let that sit a little bit, okay? Because we want this to start filling in the hidden spaces that we have down there in our corners and things. And once we do that, we also want to allow a couple of minutes or so for any air bubbles, because you can have bubbles from under the rocks, under the shells, under the algae, all of that. So you can have bubbles and things that come up. And so we want to give that, a couple of minutes or so for any air bubbles to make their way up to the top of the epoxy that we poured in, okay? So we're going to inspect that a little bit and see if we got everything in. And then if you are seeing any bubbles, you can take your toothpicks and just push it down to where that bubble is and see if you can draw it to the top, okay? But don't play around in it so much that you cause more bubbles. Okay, so we're just going to let that sit for just a couple of minutes. Okay, and let those bubbles come up to the top. Other thing you can do is a lot of times you can breathe on them. The hot air, the hot moist air will actually pop the bubbles. Okay, and but you don't want to worry about them too much. This is still water. It is still an aquarium. Normally you put bubblers in them. So a couple of bubbles is not going to hurt, okay? We just don't want any big, gigantic bubbles in there. All right, so like I said, so we're gonna go back. You can get some epoxy up into your pipette. And then remember, you take it and pour it down the level of your pipette. Okay, so at this point, we're probably about, in my container, we're a good third of the way up. And we're going to stop. The other reason to stop is because we have plant material in here that, we may want to move around just a little bit. And so you can take your toothpick and, like with some of the algae or things like that, you can move it around just a little bit. But like I said, not too much to where you are introducing too many bubbles, okay? So just do it slowly. And then if you're seeing any big bubbles that you want to move, just take your toothpick and just sort of drag them up to the top of the epoxy, okay?
All right, my miniature Harley family, and we are done. Now, I had to go ahead and work with Roni to fill these up and then film the ending of the video at home because her dog was really wilding out. So we couldn't shoot any more video footage. But we did finish filling it up. And isn't that cute? That is so cute. I'm so proud of myself. Look, I got fish there, and then one up there, and then one down right there. So I have to tell you, last Wednesday while I was at work, I called Roni and I said, I want to do a miniature fish tank. And we need a play date. So I want to get in the video shot and put up Sunday. And she said, what? Well, I didn't know the amount of work that it takes to go into one of these. Literally, she had everything together. And I got over there Friday and we worked a long time. We went shopping, but we still worked. Then went back Saturday and I had to leave it overnight. So she brought it to me. But isn't that gorgeous? You can make this. Just follow her instructions. Now, what she did was she took a class at the Guild School, and they teach you the basics. They show you how to do a project. So you take from that project, and you make it your own. And she learned how to do several of them. So this is so cute. I can't wait to do another project with her. So please, go back and rewind and keep looking at the video until you get the gist of it. Thank you so much for joining us. This is so darn cute. Oh my God, look at that. Okay, I'm gonna turn it around. Look at that. And it's clear. Oh wow. Look at that. I'm so happy. Now, let me see if you can see the little anchor. I got the anchor. Like, it's hard to see, like right there. But anyway, thank you for joining me. And thank you so much, Roni. I mean, I took you through a lot and you came through. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Until next time,